All right, welcome back to the Tool World Podcast. I'm your host, David Jew, and I'm here with Master Jew.
Hello, Mr. Jew.
Hello. All right, this week we're going to be talking a little bit about, I guess, the standing leg when we're kicking.
Hey, did
the
you notice I
arms.
have my U.S. flag?
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Not to cut you off, but...
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Stuck it on there.
Yeah.
As opposed to that club patch.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of our instructor patch.
Right.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Going to talk a little bit about the straightness of a leg when we kick.
Okay.
Or even just a hand strike too, right? Because I think you're kind of going on about that, right? And there are some kicks that you want the leg to be straight and some kicks that you don't, right? So why would we want the leg to be straight? Like if you look at like side piercing kick.
Yeah, the leg has to be locked out in like the side piercing kick or maybe even the punching. Power goes to the weakest point, right? So in other words, if I was punching and my elbow slightly bent, the energy is absorbed in the elbow, and so if it's not locked out, it could flex.
Yeah.
And this is also true in any other sports. I mean, you think about like cycling. Cycling is not really the most efficient kind of mechanism.
Okay.
Because the knees are bent, your elbow, your ankle, your foot, a lot of it is bent. And so when you push down on that pedal, some of that energy is absorbed in those joints. That's why they created the cycling shoe. It's very stiff, and so there's less flexing going on.
Okay.
And so you can get more power onto the pedal. And so we want to reduce some of that in order to get the maximum amount of power.
Okay.
So if I'm doing a punching, I want that arm to be locked out so that the energy isn't absorbed in, like in the elbow or the wrist or whatever.
Okay.
And side piercing kick, same thing. If your heel, knee, hip, shoulder should be in a straight line like a rod. And if there's any bend in it, then energy is going to be absorbed in that.
Okay.
Theoretically.
Well, no, that's true. I mean, if you hit some boards and the leg is slightly bent on the side piercing kick, it bounces right off, right?
Right.
That energy comes back.
Right.
But there are some kicks that we do want to have the leg bent. Or let's talk about the standing leg.
Well, the standing legs in general, most of the kick, when you're doing a kick, the knee should be slightly bent. And that has to do more with stability. Your knee will be a lot stronger if you was to kick in that fashion. It shouldn't be straight out. It's kind of like your walking stance. That knee should be slightly bent. If not, someone could hit it, and then you might be able to dislocate the knee. But you'll have a little bit more. It's structurally is stronger.
Yeah.
So when it's slightly bent. So when you do side piercing kick, sometimes you see it locked out, and you see it locked out more like people doing super high kicks.
Right.
Right? But the knee should be slightly bent to help protect the knee.
How about techniques that we want to have the leg bent? So like, let's say defensive hooking kick, downward kick. What about vertical kick?
Vertical kick is still, I would say, is bent because of the way the movement is performed. It's kind of this outward. It's kind of like if I was in let's say a walking stance where the front leg is straight and someone wanted to sweep it across and hit the side of your leg. It's more vulnerable, right? And if I'm doing a vertical kick, well, the kick is kind of coming sideways. Your foot is going sideways, right? Outward or inward, whatever. And if it's kind of like, again, protecting that joint. If I was to look at a reverse knife hand, if I'm hitting something with my reverse knife hand, when it hits the target, there is the hand will kind of slow down. Yeah. It could stop, but it will slow down a little bit. Yeah. And then you've got to drive through. Well, if your arm isn't locked out and you hit that target, your body's moving forward. Your arm is still moving forward, but then it stops. And so it can hyperextend that elbow. Have you ever noticed that? Yeah. And you want to protect that elbow, so that elbow should be slightly bent so that when it hits the target, it might actually straighten out as you drive through. Okay. So the elbow, in that case, should be slightly bent. And that's also true with the kicks. Right. You want to protect that joint. Okay. Downward kick's a good example. I see a lot of people practice downward. It comes up, the leg is straight, and it comes down. Well, should be doing this with full power, full speed. It's coming down fast, and all of a sudden it hits something. Boom. Yeah. Well, your foot stops, but that doesn't mean the other parts of your body doesn't stop.
Right.
It actually continues. And so what you can have is a injured knee from
Right.
that. So you'd want that to be slightly bent to prevent that.
It depends on what area you're striking as well, right? If I'm striking the head, that's a little bit more fluid for like a downward kick, right? I can go through the kick on like the head, right? But if I'm striking like the clavicle, that might just stop that kick.
Well, if you're going to hit someone in the head with a downward kick, that person must be moving kind of like at an angle, leaning down, and then you brought that leg up and in.
Yeah, a little bit.
Generally, I think the downward kick is like you bring it up and you want to hit them in the shoulder, clavicle,
Right, right.
maybe the head, straight on top. But yeah.
How about things like horizontal back fist strike? So that one, the arm is straight.
Yeah.
Is that because of the way that the technique is traveling, and when I hit it, it can bend backwards?
So yeah, it can bend backwards inward, right?
Right.
So you don't have to worry about injury of that.
Right.
But like punching, you want to make it as straight as possible. The arm is locked out and it comes straight across like a bat.
So a lot of this comes down to the body structure, body mechanics, for how these techniques should be delivered, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Well, let us know your guys' thoughts on the knee, elbows being bent for certain techniques. And as always, don't forget to be safe.
Keep training.
I will see you guys next time.
Take one.